in Emad Badi for analysis on this story. He's a non-resident scholar at the Middle East Institute, and he joins us from London. Emad, thank you so much for speaking to us here on France 24. France really has some explaining to do here, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that overall this entire event or this entire episode has really revealed a very deep duplicity in France's foreign policy towards Libya, because it has definitely surprised a lot of analysts and researchers that look at Libya. And you have to also take into account the fact that over the past few years, France has really tried to play the role of a mediator in Libya. So at this point in time, it's really in an enviable position since the discovery of the javelins.
Emad Badi, what punitive measures could Paris face, if any, if it is indeed found to be breaching these UN arms embargoes?
You also have to take into account the fact that France is a major player within the EU, and it's also one of the permanent members of the UN Security Council. So I really doubt that there will be significant punitive measures that will be taken against it. However, in terms of these javelins in particular, the issue is there are usually end-user agreements that are not supposed to be breached. So we'll still have to wait and look at what U.S. action will look like, given the fact that it's been discovered that France supplied them.
And that's a big question. So we're not certain of punitive measures regarding the UN, but would this discovery, do you think, in any way put Washington at odds with Paris, given that, of course, as you just mentioned, these were very much American-made missiles originally sold to France?
Yeah. Well, now the issue is there's still, I think that the discovery that these missiles were French is not enough. There are still significant pieces of the puzzles that haven't been really explained yet. So these jabs were out of use, but they were somehow simultaneously transferred to protect special forces. They ended up in Gherian, but at the same time, the French embassy stated that it had no military presence there. And there's technically tacit support for Haftar, despite the fact that he's staging a coup. So France has still some explaining to do on how these ended up really in Libya, to be honest.
Earlier, Emad Badi, when we spoke, you mentioned that many observers of Libya have been questioning France's position. Where do you think Paris will go from here onwards now that this discovery has been made?
I think that France, I mean, this is merely a speculation because there's absolutely no knowing. It's very difficult to predict these things. But I think that at this point in time, and given the attention or the scrutiny that it's been put under, I think that France will at least try to revise its position to a more neutral one. That doesn't mean that it will totally abandon Haftar, because it's still beholden to him as a would-be strongman in Libya, but I don't expect that it will be actively supporting him militarily in the way it did previously.
Emad Badi there, thank you so much for that very interesting analysis here on France 24.